All right, buckle up because today's deep dive takes us straight into, well, your kitchen. We're talking ground beef.
Mm, sounds delicious already.
Right. Now, before you think, wait, I came here for black holes, not burgers, trust me,
Mm.
there's a method to this delicious madness. You see, you sent in what seemed like a simple recipe guide. Textile Inserat, right?
Textile inserat.
Yeah, I love that name, by the way.
Catchy.
And it's got your classic tacos, beef stroganoff, stuffed peppers, the kind of meals we think we know. But that's where our expert swoops in. They're like the culinary version of those detectives who find clues everyone else missed.
It's true. Even a humble ingredient like ground beef has hidden depths. What's fascinating here is that the recipes, even the choice of ground beef itself, it tells a story about our need for convenience, but without having to sacrifice flavor.
Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about. So we've got these three dishes, but the transcript really focuses on the ground beef as the star. Is that strategic or just a happy accident?
Definitely strategic. Ground beef is like the chameleon of the food world. Budget-friendly, adaptable to countless cuisines, and hard to mess up. Which, let's be honest, is perfect for those busy weeknights the transcript mentions.
Versatile, you said. Now you've really got me curious. I'm picturing burgers, tacos. But what about globally? Are there any dishes out there using ground beef that would totally surprise people?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will, a tagine from Morocco. Now picture this. Tender ground beef, simmered not with the usual suspects, but with dried apricots, raisins, maybe even a sprinkle of rose petals.
Wait, hold up. Rose petals?
Exactly. It sounds wild, right? But this sweet and savory combination, it's actually a hallmark of Moroccan cuisine. And it speaks to a larger trend of using ground beef's neutral flavor as a base to highlight bolder, more contrasting tastes.
My mind officially blown. Okay, so we've got ground beef spanning continents, but let's zoom back in on those recipes you sent in. First up, the mighty taco. The transcript mentions how customizable they are, but what exactly makes them such a blank canvas?
It's all about that perfect balance of structure and flexibility. You've got the tortilla acting as your edible vessel, right? And the ground beef, that provides a familiar, satisfying base.
Mm.
And from there, you can go in countless directions. Think about it. You could go the classic route, diced tomatoes, onions, cheese, maybe a dollop of sour cream. Or,
Ooh, sour cream.
right, or take inspiration from other cuisines, like swapping the beef for spiced lentils for a vegetarian twist.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Or even going full-on Korean BBQ with kimchi and gochujang mayo.
See, this is what I love. It's like those paint by numbers things, but for your dinner plate, you've got the outline, then you get to go wild with the details.
Exactly.
Speaking of details, the transcript keeps the actual taco recipe pretty simple, which
Yeah.
I'm all for easy, but are there any secret weapon ingredients you recommend? Just to kick those basic seasonings up a notch, something beyond the usual cumin and chili powder?
Absolutely. A pinch of smoked paprika or chipotle powder can add a really amazing depth of flavor.
Oh, I bet.
And then for a fresh, vibrant touch, a squeeze of lime juice, some chopped cilantro right before serving, make all the difference.
Okay, that's going on my grocery list. Simple yet effective. I like it. All right, moving on to our next culinary adventure. Beef and mushroom stroganoff. Now, the transcript highlights its comfort food status, but I'll confess, my stroganoff knowledge is pretty much limited to it's creamy and delicious.
Right.
Fill us in. What's the backstory on this dish?
Well, stroganoff actually has a pretty fascinating history. It's believed to have originated in 19th century Russia.
Okay.
And legend has it that it was named after a Count Stroganoff,
Get out!
though the exact origins still debated among food historians.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Imagine that culinary arguments over dinner parties back in the day.
Oh, I can only imagine. Arling, you're adding the mushrooms before the onions. This is an outrage.
Precisely. But I digress. Initially, stroganoff was a much simpler dish, just sautéed beef cubes in a sour cream sauce. Over time, it evolved to include ingredients like the mushrooms, onions, and then eventually making its way to America, early 20th century, where it really took hold as a beloved comfort food classic.
Okay, so we've got Russian counts, culinary debates, transatlantic journeys. Who knew Stroganoff had such a passport? But let's talk about that creamy sauce for a second, because that's what makes it irresistible.
Right.
The transcript mentions it, but are there any common pitfalls home cooks should avoid to get that texture just right? I'm picturing a velvety, smooth sauce, not a curdled mess.
You're spot on. Achieving that velvety texture is key. And you're right, curdling is the enemy, one of the most common mistakes, adding cold sour cream directly to the hot pan.
Oh, that makes sense. Temperature clash?
Exactly. That sudden temperature change can cause the sour cream to separate. Instead, try tempering it first. Take like a spoonful of hot sauce, whisk it into the sour cream before adding the rest to the pan.
Oh,
This gradual warming helps prevent curdling, keeps the sauce nice and smooth.
tempering. It's like you're soothing the sour cream into submission with a little spa treatment. Genius. What about the broth? Does that play a role in the creaminess factor?
Absolutely. A good quality beef broth is going to add depth of flavor, and it'll contribute to the sauce's richness as well.
See, details matter. Okay, on to our final dish. Stuffed bell peppers. The transcript paints them as the culinary overachiever. Visually impressive, yet secretly easy to pull off. But are there any hidden challenges a newbie cook might not see coming?
You're right. Stuffed peppers can be deceptively simple. One thing to watch out for is overstuffing.
Too much of a good thing.
Exactly. Overstuffing can prevent the peppers from cooking evenly, leaving you with a soggy pepper and an undercooked filling. Another key is making sure the pepper itself is cooked through, not just the filling.
Ah, so you don't want a crunchy pepper surprise?
Exactly. A helpful trick is to parboil the peppers for a few minutes before you stuff and bake them. This ensures more even cooking throughout.
Parboil, okay. It's like you've hacked the stuffed pepper matrix. Now, I'm curious, what's your favorite thing about cooking with bell peppers? Is it the color they add to a dish, or is there something more to it?
For me,
Yeah.
it's the transformation they undergo during cooking.
Oh,
They start out slightly bitter, crunchy, but as they cook, they soften. They develop this incredible sweetness that complements so many different flavor profiles.
really?
Yeah, it's like a culinary glow-up.
I love that, a culinary glow up. And speaking of glowing up, I feel like my culinary IQ has definitely leveled up after this deep dive.
I agree.
We went from humble ground beef to like a global culinary adventure, uncovering hidden history, secret techniques. We even managed to squeeze in a few cooking hacks along the way.
That's the beauty of food, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even the simplest dishes have these incredible stories to tell, connections to broader culinary traditions.
It's true. And before we wrap up, any final thought-provoking morsels for our listeners to chew on?
You know, as we've explored these recipes, one thing that stands out is the importance of using high-quality ingredients. Fresh, seasonal produce, good quality meat, even a sprinkle of herbs from your garden. It all makes a difference. It's about bringing that mindfulness and care to the entire cooking process.
Beautifully said. It's not just about what we cook, but how we cook it. And on that note, a huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through this delicious deep dive.
Thank you for having me.
And to our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever tried incorporating a global twist into a classic comfort food recipe? Let us know. You might just inspire our next deep dive. Until then, happy cooking.